Today, hundreds of high school students walked out of class protesting racial injustice. They held signs in memory of Daunte Wright and George Floyd. This as Derek Chauvin's trial for Floyd's murder came to a close today. At least the arguments did. Minnesota and much of the country watching closely as prosecutors and the defense had their final words today. They delivered their closing arguments. The case has now gone to the jury.
Outside the courtroom, tensions, like the security force, are growing. NBC's Jay Gray was there after George Floyd's death last summer and has followed the high-profile case from the start. He reports now on the details of this critical day.
He did what he did on purpose, and it killed George Floyd.
Calling Derek Chauvin's actions an abuse of power, an assault, and betrayal of his badge. Prosecutors tell the jury you don't need to look much further than the images from that day, including the video of George Floyd's dying moments, to understand this case.
You can see this with your own eyes. You could see what happened, that he couldn't breathe. He said he couldn't breathe.
Working meticulously through testimony from the state's experts while often discounting those from the defense, at one point reminding the panel of Floyd's screams with Chauvin's knee across his neck.
For 9 minutes and 29 seconds, he begged, George Floyd begged until he could speak no more.
9 minutes, 29 seconds. It's not the proper analysis because the 9 minutes and 29 seconds ignores the previous 16 minutes and 59 seconds.
A struggle defense attorney Eric Nelson says framed the events and Chauvin's actions that day. The former Minneapolis police officer removing his mask, facing the jury as Nelson reviews use of force requirements, telling jurors Chauvin never violated police policy.
These are the actions of a reasonable police officer.
A phrase
A reasonable police officer
he used often during his time with the jury. Continuing, Nelson pushes on the defense theory that Floyd's heart, his use of drugs, and the crowd that gathered all played a role in his death. Jay Gray, NBC News, Minneapolis.
The jury will be sequestered while they deliberate, remaining behind closed doors until they reach a verdict. Once that happens, court will be given an hour to 2 hours to reconvene before the verdict is announced.